Since I joined school 2 years ago, I did over 100 events. So this includes networking events, workshops, podcasts, and IRL events. And sometimes it was just me, and that was kind of sad. But in other times, there were like more than 30 people in like a digital room or even in person, and that was freaking amazing. And that's why I want to share what actually works and what doesn't, so you don't have to go through the same trial and error that I did. And at the end of the video, I'm gonna go and walk you through specific quests with action items that you can apply so you can progress on your journey and level up your marketing skills, because that's ultimately what we want to do with hosting events. We want to attract more people. If you don't know me, hey there, I'm Luke. I'm the networking wizard and I run the game. And this is not how I started. I didn't always have 750 members in the community. I started with helping other communities, like Synthesizer. I was the admin there. We got to number 2 in Discovery during the time that I was there. I also helped Aiden Lebrecht with Synthesizer scaling, which is now like absolutely blowing up. And we helped the first cohort of clients make over 3 million in revenue. And I was also like helping Goose with different events, recording things, and just like hosting them at my place, for example, as well. So we were playing Smash Ultimate here on this couch, which is just an absolute blast. But what I'm saying is I got in touch with a lot of bigger players and I saw how they were hosting events, and I even helped them host events, which gave me a lot of experience, and this now allows me to do my own events and host them. That's what we're going to look specifically today. The 3 progressions that you can take in order to level up your hosting skills. So we're going to cover the podcasting, then the groups, and the IRLs. And the easiest thing is probably podcasting, because you just need one person. And here the preparation is really key. So we want to have rapport with people. We want to be able to invite them and make it really easy for them to say yes. And the things that I have set up are, for example, podcasts with Matthew Thompson, Calvin Hollywood, and Evelyn Weiss. And the only way this was possible is because I had previous interactions with them. I had good rapport. I still have good rapport with them. We had good conversations. I joined their community. I was a valuable member. We sometimes met in person already. I'm going to their events. I'm meeting them right there and then, and making it very easy for them to say yes, because I'm taking care of everything. I do the recording, I bring the equipment, I think about the questions, and I do the promotion around this as well. And the key here is usually we want to interview people who are a little bit ahead of us, because that allows us to extract their knowledge and expertise and present them. But that means we need to do the heavy lifting ourselves and make sure that it's as easy and simple for them as possible, because then the likelihood of them saying yes and agreeing to the invite is much higher. And I think the key aspect that I also learned is sometimes we just need to like keep the interactions going, because an invite can get lost very quickly, and then following up not with hey, bumping this up, but let's add more value to that. So every time we are messaging someone like this with a podcast invitation, we want something from them. And that's why we need to give something from us first and show them that they are actually going to benefit from hopping on a podcast with us. So that's the preparation. From there on, we need to think about questions that we're going to ask them, because just having like a random conversation is not going to be the highest leverage. And here are the list of questions that I prepared when I was interviewing Aiden Lebrecht. And this was like a bit of a unique interview because I actually did this on a roof. So thinking about like different ways that we can leverage things and like make it look more interesting, and then having like different questions that I knew he was going to enjoy to answer, because it connected to what he does, on what he enjoys, and ultimately like his larger purpose and mission. And these are always key aspects that we need to ask. And then I had like a few follow-up questions that I could fall back onto, and this made this interview incredible valuable. and it is still like one of the highest viewed ones. So if you want, you can check this out. But there's another thing that we can do if we do have a good interview with someone. We can repeat them. So this is what I did with Ryan Duncan. We did an interview last year, and now last week we just did another one. And this was only possible because I had that rapport and we're able to continue the conversation. We were talking about onboarding. So now we were like updating the concept that we talked about a year ago. It's like, okay, how has this changed? And out of this, we can start creating all of these collaborations and keep the conversation going, keep the connection going, and also show other people. It's like, hey, like we are connected and we are both working on different things. And if you want this specific thing, then this is the person that you can go to, and continuously building up these relationships. And this is kind of like my thing. I want to build bridges between people that are not just a one-way street, but that are a two-way street. And in the beginning, the bridge is like very tiny. But the more interactions we have, the broader the bridge becomes, to the point where like multiple people can walk across this bridge back and forth between us, because that's ultimately the whole reason why communities have such a competitive advantage, since we don't have to do everything alone. We're not an echo chamber, we're actually a larger ecosystem, and the more connected we are, the more valuable things become. The next aspect is groups. And when we are not just having a conversation with one person, but with multiple, it gets a little bit tricky. And there are different sizes. So a group from 3 to 6 is relatively simple. Because you can just have a normal conversation and like everyone still gets to speak their turn. So the introverts still are able to contribute, and it flows very naturally. And if you just have like a good amount of people in there, like that somewhat know each other, I guarantee you will already have a good conversation around this. So 3 to 6 is the easiest way to do group calls. It does get more difficult when we approach 6 to 12. So here we we notice that some introverts just stop talking. It's like, this is too much. I don't like know how to pull the conversation or like pull something from there. And I think as the host, it is very important that we encourage other people to speak. So something that I notice in some bigger group calls is the host is always trying to answer all the questions. And I think this is a lost opportunity to connect members with one another. Because if we have like 12 people, then we are able, and like someone asks a question and I know someone else can also answer that question, then I want them to answer the question, because this way they get to interact. You've like, when someone else calls on you and it's like, hey, you have an answer to this and I know that you are passionate about this, why wouldn't I call on you and let you answer this? Because this creates more connections between the two of you and you have more interactions. So 6 to 12 is still manageable. It is much more difficult to like manage and make sure that everyone feels seen and heard. As soon as it's more than 12 people, and here we are like already approaching 12 people, because like you can see there's a second page, this gets very difficult. And around that, it's basically like this. It's more of a presentation. It's a webinar, and it's not really a group call anymore. And it's kind of like turning into a podcast again, but just a podcast with an audience. So it's still more so here the key is having some form of structure and knowing what to go through, and preparing it and understanding that not everyone is able to contribute. But when we are more than 12 people, something that I like to do then is break up people into smaller groups. Say, hey, we are either doing one-on-one networking, or we are creating 3 different groups. And there is even a way to do this on school. So we talked about this last Wednesday during the networking call. So shout out to, I think, Justino said it, where we can create multiple events at the same time and then treat those events within school as breakout rooms that you can jump into and have a separate conversation and then come back to the main conversation. It's not as convenient because you cannot naturally pull people back. In the past, I've used Gather, which is like an absolute amazing space, because you can like it's like a 2D world where you can walk around and you only hear the people who are close to you. So I still finding ways on like how to manage this better, because I don't want to like go into Zoom and get another tool and another subscription, and I'd rather just have things like as simple as possible. So there are workarounds with that, but generally, as soon as it's more than 12 people, it's very difficult. And I would suggest breakout rooms if you still want to maintain these group connections amongst people. So once we understand how to talk with multiple people, then the next stage is to do this in real life. And here the IRLs are coming into place. And I think there's, again, 3 phases that we can go through. So the first one is the simplest, just attending one. So this is my first IRL. You can see me all the way here behind G. He's an absolute legend. So if you ever get the opportunity to speak to G, he's usually hanging around like a support in school. And if you're ever in LA or you're winning the school games, giving him a big hug. He a super great guy to talk to. And like generally they're like I could say this about like half of this room, because like I'm still connected with most of these people. And I think that's the cool thing about attending. When we go to these events, we just create a much deeper level of connection with the people. And something that I like to do is, usually there are already groups for these events, and then starting to post in there, starting to see, and it's like, hey, who else is coming? Like, how are you arriving? What are your plans? And already getting to know people, because if you can be in a space where you're already known, then you can skip a lot of the small talk. And that's why I like already telling my story, already introducing myself. And then people can like, and this still happens to me now, because like this was the first of many events that I attended. People come up to us and start like, hey, like I saw your introduction, I saw you did this and this and this. And instead of like us having to go to people, people start to coming to us. And this is even more true when we start speaking on stage, for example. So I did this a couple of times at like Mind Valley, which is an event with thousands of people. And that was such a big difference on like being seen as a speaker, an authority figure, and being able to just capture people's attention and then allowing people to come to us, because this just saves so much time. And we are also having a much different position within the heads of the people. So after we attended maybe 1, 2, 10 events or something like that, we can start co-hosting events. And this guy, Goose, he has done an incredible job of creating mayors all around school, and they have IRL Berlin and IRL Amsterdam and IRL Chicago and IRL Barcelona. And these are the people that you can connect. And when I had a trip to help a client, Joey, close a 36K deal in London, I reached out to S here and it's like, hey S, you are the mayor of London. I'm there for a week. Can we do something? Can we organize something? And then we did this, and I invited a bunch of people from Synthesizer Scaling. So we kind of like got all these people together, and it wasn't necessarily something complicated. It was, we just like went to like a bar and then to a restaurant, and we just like got some drinks, mostly water for me, since I don't consume alcohol. It's just yeah, not the best for networking, because ultimately I want to like connect more with people, and ultimately it's kind of literally nerve poison, but that's kind of my own preference, and I've went through the phases of drinking a lot. Just would not recommend during an event, especially if it's a longer event, because that just ruins the next day. So keeping that in mind, co-hosting event is very easy if you just reach out to the mayors and say, hey, love to do that. This is what I can contribute. These are the people that I can invite. And from there on, it's very simple to just get people together and connect. And it's an amazing fun. We're playing some video games here. There was some Mario Kart. It was like freaking fantastic. So once we have done this, the highest level is to host our own events. And I've done this multiple times in the past, and I bet you have actually done this too, because if you're celebrating a birthday, that is hosting an event. So what I have been doing, because like I'm not a huge fan of just getting drunk, I thought about different ways that we can have fun and interact with one another. And one of these things is sword fighting. The idea is to have like all of these different activities that we can do and are able to just have fun, connect with one another, have these different team sports which are team building, and really just allow ourselves to connect. So here we are playing some like kind of capture the hill tower defense thing with a boss battle at the end, and there's like a story around this. So I think this is like a great way to just connect people with one another. And then like some video games at the end. We were playing Mario Kart and had a campfire, and generally the idea is to really make sure that we want to connect people with one another and create an environment that allows us to do that. So this is what I'm, for example, hosting next year, or like this year. It's kind of weird that things are happening so quickly. So, but like this is the event hosting, and this is like at the highest level on what we can do. And for example, now I'm actually going to the school festival. So this is like the last thing that I'm gonna do. I'm already like halfway done with packing, and I'm just like going now to another event to connect more with people. So with that, I hope you found this valuable. And if you want to start applying this, then I encourage you to really think about these 3 different levels. And if you're part of the Jedi Academy, you can actually visually track your progress, because in here we have already gone through the commenting and the posting, and now we are in the hosting. So in here we have 3 different difficulties, from doing a podcast to doing a group discussion to doing an IRL event. And if you have done these things, you can check these off, you can check these off, and as you can see, we get experience points and we see the progress going up, which I am a huge fan of, because like this level of gamification just allows us to actually see our progress and motivate us and like see what other people are doing. And that helps us ultimately do this. And with that, we are actually completing the whole marketing night training for this season. So with that, we are at 33%. Now we are going into the Sales Ninja training for next month, and I'm really excited to walk you guys through that. So until then, I hope you have a fantastic time. I'm gonna enjoy the school festival. I'll be sharing more about this in the community, and I'm hoping to see you at an IRL event in the future. And yeah, happy hosting. So until then, enjoy the journey and have fun. Peace.